Zara stepped off the bus, inhaling deeply as the humid Lagos air wrapped around her. She had dreamed of this moment, coming to the city of endless possibilities, where dreams either took flight or crumbled under the weight of reality. With her fresh degree in business administration and a hopeful heart, she believed she could land a job in one of the multinational firms. But for now, she had another role to play, helping her elder sister, Linda, who had just given birth to a baby girl. Linda was a high-flying executive, always on her toes, attending meetings, managing clients, and barely having time to rest. The arrival of baby Michelle had slowed her down a little, but even maternity leave didn't completely detach her from work. That was where Zara came in. She would take care of the baby whenever Linda had virtual meetings, run errands, and ensure the house remained in order. Her sister's husband, Chike, was a well-built man in his late 30s. He was quiet but observant, the kind of man who exuded authority without needing to raise his voice. Zara had always admired how he treated Linda, with patience and adoration, always ensuring she had everything she needed. For the first few weeks, everything was normal. Zara fell into a routine, job hunting during the day and babysitting whenever Linda needed a break. But soon, she started noticing something. It was in the way Chike's eyes lingered on her a little longer than necessary when she walked past in her casual house shorts. It was in the way he complimented her, subtle but deliberate. "You're really helpful, Zara. I don't know how Linda would have managed without you," he said one evening as they sat in the living room, baby Michelle asleep in her crib. Zara smiled. "She's my sister. Of course, I'd help." But the way Chike's eyes held hers made her shift uncomfortably. There was warmth in his gaze, something unspoken. She ignored it at first, convinced she was overthinking things. But then came the stolen moments, a brush of his fingers when handing her a glass of water, a lingering glance when she bent to pick up something. One evening, Linda had to rush out for an impromptu meeting, leaving Zara alone with Chike and the baby. After feeding Michelle and putting her to sleep, she stepped into the kitchen to grab a bottle of water. She didn't hear Chike walk in until his voice broke the silence. "You're truly an amazing woman, Zara." She turned, her heartbeat quickening. There was something intense in his expression, something that sent a shiver down her spine. Thank you," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. He stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. "Has anyone ever told you how beautiful you are?" Zara swallowed hard. She knew where this could lead. She knew it was dangerous, forbidden. But as she stood there, trapped between desire and morality, she realized that some lines, once crossed, could never be redrawn. Zara's fingers tightened around the bottle of water. She willed herself to move, to step away, to say something that would shatter the tension building between them. But for a moment, she couldn't. The air in the kitchen felt thick, charged with something unspoken, something dangerous. Chike was close, too close. She could smell the faint scent of his cologne, a mix of wood and spice. His eyes, dark and unreadable, held hers as if waiting for a response. "I should check on Michelle," she said abruptly, breaking the silence. She turned quickly, walking out of the kitchen before he could say anything else. Her heart pounded in her chest as she entered the nursery, where the baby slept soundly. She took a deep breath, pressing her hands against her temples. What was she thinking? What was he thinking? For the next few days, Zara did everything she could to avoid being alone with Chike. She left the house early, spending hours at job interviews and sometimes just wandering through the bustling streets of Lagos, pretending to be busy. She spent more time in Linda's room, offering to help with whatever her sister needed, anything to keep herself occupied. But Chike noticed. One evening, as she stepped into the living room to grab her laptop, she heard his voice. "Zara." She froze, her back to him. "Yes." I hope I didn't scare you the other night, he said softly. She turned slowly, meeting his gaze. He was sitting on the couch, his hands clasped together. He didn't look threatening, just concerned. She hesitated. I just think we should be careful, Chike. A small smile played at the corner of his lips. Careful. She nodded, gripping her laptop. Linda loves you. And I love my sister. I would never want to hurt her. Something flickered in his eyes, regret. Amusement. She couldn't tell. You're a good person, Zara, he said after a moment. I respect that. She exhaled, relieved. Maybe she had imagined everything. Maybe she had misread the signals. But later that night, as she lay in bed scrolling through job applications, her phone vibrated. It was a message from an unknown number. Thinking about you tonight. Sleep well, beautiful. Her breath hitched. She stared at the screen, her fingers trembling. Chike. Zara's heart pounded as she deleted the message. She turned off her phone and shut her eyes, willing sleep to come. But deep down, she knew this was far from over. Zara barely slept that night. She tossed and turned, replaying every moment in her mind. The message from Chike had unsettled her in a way she wasn't prepared for. The next morning, she was up early, moving through the house with a false sense of normalcy. Linda, oblivious to the growing tension, was already dressed for a virtual board meeting. Zara, please help me with Michelle, Linda called from her room. Zara was grateful for the distraction. She scooped the baby into her arms, breathing in the scent of baby powder and warm innocence. As she rocked Michelle, she felt a presence behind her. Chike. He stood in the doorway, dressed in a crisp shirt and dark trousers, his gaze unreadable. Linda's voice carried from the other room, locked in a heated discussion with a colleague. I hope you slept well, Chike said in a low voice. Zara kept her eyes on the baby. Chike, please, let's not do this. He stepped closer. Do what? She finally looked at him, her expression pleading. You know what? Whatever this is, it has to stop. He sighed, rubbing a hand over his chin. Zara, A sudden cry from Michelle cut him off. Zara turned away, soothing the baby as Linda walked into the room. What's wrong, my love? Linda cooed, taking Michelle from Zara's arms. She smiled at her husband. Chike, are you leaving for work now? Chike's expression changed instantly, the warmth in his eyes now directed at his wife. Yes, I was just about to. Zara swallowed the lump in her throat as she watched him kiss Linda's forehead before heading out. Later that night, Zara had planned to avoid dinner, but Linda insisted. You've barely eaten all day, Zara. Come and join us. She forced a smile, taking a seat across from Chike. The meal was a quiet one, save for Michelle's occasional baby noises. Then Linda, completely unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface, dropped a bombshell. Zara, I was thinking, since your job search is taking time, why don't you take a break? Maybe go visit Mom in Abuja for a while? Zara stiffened. She wasn't sure if it was relief or disappointment that coursed through her. Chike set his fork down. His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Linda continued, oblivious. It will be good for you. A change of environment. What do you think? Zara glanced at Chike. His expression was carefully guarded, but she saw the flicker of something in his eyes. Was it frustration? Or was he daring her to stay? Zara started, her voice hesitant. Chike's phone vibrated on the table. He picked it up, glanced at the screen, and excused himself. Zara's stomach twisted. She knew she needed to leave. She had to. But why did part of her hesitate? Zara couldn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Linda's words echoing in her mind. Maybe go visit mom in Abuja for a while. Was her sister sensing something? Or was this just a coincidence? Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Heart pounding, she reached for it. Another message. Chike, are you really leaving? She hesitated before typing. Zara, I don't know. A response came almost immediately. Chike, don't. Zara sat up, her fingers trembling. She deleted the messages and put the phone down, but sleep refused to come. The next morning, Zara avoided Chike all morning, keeping busy with Michelle. Linda, rushing to prepare for a business call, barely noticed the awkward tension lingering in the air. By noon, Zara had made up her mind. She found Linda in the living room, typing furiously on her laptop. Sis, Zara began hesitantly. Linda looked up, smiling. Yes. I think you're right. I should go to Abuja for a while. Linda beamed. Oh, I'm so glad. Mom will love having you around. Zara forced a smile, ignoring the sharp pang in her chest. This was the right thing to do. A door clicked open behind her. She turned to see Chike stepping in, fresh from the gym, his t-shirt clinging to his toned body. His eyes locked onto hers, unreadable. I just told Zara the good news, Linda said brightly. She's going to Abuja for a while. For the briefest moment, Zara saw something flicker in Chike's gaze, something dark, something almost possessive. That's unexpected, he said smoothly. Zara tore her gaze away. I'll start packing. She felt his eyes on her as she walked away, her heartbeat hammering in her ears. But just as she reached her room, her phone buzzed again. Chike, meet me tonight. One last time. Zara stared at the message, her hands shaking. This was her chance to escape. So why did part of her want to say yes? Zara stared at the message on her phone, her pulse racing. Meet me tonight. One last time. She should ignore it. She should pack her bags and focus on living. But a part of her, the part she wasn't proud of, wanted to go. All day, she avoided Chike. She helped Linda with Michelle, sorted through her clothes, and called her mother in Abuja to confirm her trip. Yet, when night fell and the house quieted, she found herself wide awake, her heart hammering with indecision. At exactly 11:30 p.m., her phone buzzed again. Chike, I'll be in the study. Just talk to me, please. Zara squeezed her eyes shut, cursing under her breath. She shouldn't. But she did. The study, midnight. The house was silent as she tiptoed down the hallway. The door to the study was slightly ajar, the glow of a single lamp casting long shadows. Chike stood by the window, his back to her, hands in his pockets. When she entered, he turned slowly, his eyes unreadable. I wasn't sure you'd come, he said softly. Zara folded her arms, keeping her distance. This is a mistake. He exhaled, stepping closer. Then why are you here? She had no answer. Zara, he murmured, his voice low and intimate, I know this is wrong. But I can't stop thinking about you. Her breath hitched. Chike, please. Linda. I love my wife, he interrupted. But I can't ignore what I feel for you. Zara swallowed hard. This has to end. I'm leaving tomorrow. Chike's jaw clenched. Do you want to leave? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. The air between them crackled with tension. He took another step forward, so close now that she could feel the warmth of his body. Say it, he whispered. Zara's lips parted, her mind screaming at her to turn and walk away. But then Chike reached out, his fingers grazing her arm, and her body betrayed her. She didn't pull away. His hand traveled up to her cheek, his thumb brushing against her skin. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, the world outside ceased to exist. Then, without warning, a soft creak echoed from the hallway. Zara's heart stopped. Someone was awake. Had they been seen? She stepped back, panic flooding her veins. "I have to go," she whispered. Chike looked toward the door, his expression hardening. "Zara." But she was already gone, slipping out of the study and back into the darkness. As she reached her room, her chest rising and falling in rapid breaths, one thought consumed her. This wasn't over. Not yet. Zara barely slept at night. Her heart was still pounding from the near discovery in the study. Had someone seen them? Was it Linda? The thought made her stomach churn with guilt. Morning came too soon, and she busied herself with packing, determined to leave before she did something she couldn't undo. By noon, Linda was helping her fit her bags into the car. "I wish you could stay longer, but Mom will be so happy to see you," Linda said, adjusting baby Michelle on her hip. Zara forced a smile. "Yeah. I think I need the break." Chike stood by the doorway, arms crossed. He hadn't spoken much since last night, but his eyes never left her. As the driver pulled away from the compound, Zara exhaled deeply. It was over. Or so she thought. Abuja, 2 weeks later. Life at home was peaceful. Zara spent her days helping her mother, applying for jobs online, and trying to forget Chike. But forgetting him wasn't easy. Then, one evening, as she helped her mother set the dinner table, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She hesitated before answering. "Hello." A familiar deep voice filled the line. "Did you really think running away would change anything?" Zara's blood ran cold. "Chike. How did you?" "I needed to see you," he interrupted. "Come outside." Her breath caught. "You're here." A long pause. Then, "Yes." Zara's hands trembled as she ended the call. She turned to the window, and sure enough, a sleek black car was parked just across the street. Shouldn't go. She knew that. But she did. Outside, Chike leaned against the car, looking as dangerously irresistible as ever. "I had to see you," he said. "I haven't stopped thinking about you." She swallowed hard. "Chike, this is insane." "Linda. That's why I came." His voice was tight. "There's something you don't know." Zara frowned. "What are you talking about?" He exhaled sharply. "Linda. She's been lying to both of us." Zara's pulse quickened. "Lying? About what?" Chike hesitated, then looked her straight in the eye. "Michelle isn't my daughter." Zara gasped. "What?" "She had an affair, Zara." His voice was bitter. "With her boss. I found out months ago, but I stayed because I loved her. Because I thought I could forgive. But I can't." Zara felt dizzy. "Linda cheated." Chike nodded. "I had a DNA test done behind her back. The results came in last week. Michelle isn't mine." His voice dropped to a whisper. "Everything I believed in was a lie." Zara's mind raced. She had spent weeks drowning in guilt over Chike's attention, believing she was betraying her sister. But all along, Linda had been the one with secrets. A long silence stretched between them. Then Chike stepped closer. "I don't know what to do anymore, Zara. But I know one thing, I want you." Zara's breath hitched. The forbidden pull between them had always been strong. But now, with the truth out in the open, something shifted. Linda had betrayed him. But did that make this right? Zara's heart pounded as Chike cupped her face, his eyes filled with longing. "What are you going to do?" she whispered. His lips hovered over hers. That depends on you. Zara's words spun. Chike's words echoed in her head, Michelle isn't mine. Linda had betrayed him. And yet, here he was, standing before her, asking her to cross a line she had fought so hard to avoid. She should walk away. Tell him to leave. But instead, she whispered, "This is too much, Chike." His hands gently cupped her face. "I know. But I can't pretend anymore." His lips hovered over hers, close enough that she could feel his breath. Zara's body screamed for him, for this. But her mind was at war. Linda had lied. But did that make what she was about to do any less wrong? At the last second, she pulled away. "I need time." Chike searched her face. "I'll wait. But don't push me away, Zara. You know this is real." She swallowed hard, then turned and rushed back inside, heart pounding. The next day, Zara tried to focus, but her thoughts were a mess. Why hadn't Linda told her the truth? Had she suspected something and sent Zara away to hide her own guilt? Then her phone rang. Linda's name flashed on the screen. Zara hesitated before answering. "Hey, sis." "Zara," Linda's voice was tight. "Is there something you need to tell me?" Zara's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Linda exhaled. "Chike. He's acting strange. Distant. And I just found out he's in Abuja." Zara's breath caught. "Why is he there, Zara?" Linda's voice sharpened. "Is he with you?" Zara's throat went dry. Lying felt impossible, but telling the truth, that would destroy everything. Before she could answer, Linda's voice broke. "Please, Zara. Tell me I'm wrong." Tears burned Zara's eyes. She had spent weeks drowning in guilt over her attraction to Chike, only to find out Linda had been the first to betray him. But did that justify what was happening now? She took a shaky breath. What was she supposed to do? Zara gripped the phone tightly, her heart hammering. Linda's voice was laced with something she rarely heard, fear. "Tell me I'm wrong, Zara." Her mind raced. If she told the truth, it would shatter their bond forever. But if she lied, it would only delay the inevitable. She forced herself to sound calm. "Linda, I don't know why Chike is in Abuja." That much, at least, wasn't a lie. Linda exhaled, as if relieved. "I don't know what's happening with him. He's been distant for weeks. I feel like he's slipping away." Zara swallowed hard. Was it guilt making Linda confess? Or had she truly convinced herself she was the victim? Then Linda's voice dropped to a whisper. "Zara, do you think he knows?" Zara's breath caught. "He knows." So Linda was hiding something. She played along. "Knows what?" There was a pause. "About Michelle." A cold wave washed over Zara. Linda knew. She knew Michelle wasn't Chike's. Zara's grip on the phone tightened. "Linda, if you know, why haven't you told him?" A bitter laugh came through the line. "And lose everything." "I made a mistake, Zara. One night. And I regret it. But if Chike finds out, I'll lose my marriage, my home, my family." Zara's chest felt tight. She had spent weeks carrying the weight of her own guilt, only to realize Linda had been living a lie long before her. Before she could respond, Linda's voice softened. "You're my sister, Zara. I trust you. You wouldn't betray me, would you?" Zara's mouth went dry. The call ended, but her hands trembled as she lowered the phone. A soft knock at her window made her jump. She turned. Chike stood outside, his eyes dark with something unreadable. She hesitated before opening the door. "She knows something is wrong," she whispered. Chike nodded. It doesn't matter. I'm done with the lies, Zara. I'm done with Linda. Her stomach flipped. Chike, this is complicated. No, he said firmly, stepping closer. It's simple. I don't love her anymore. The words hung in the air between them. Dangerous. Irrevocable. Zara's heart pounded. She trusts me. His hand brushed against hers, sending a jolt up her spine. But do you trust her? She had no answer. Because deep down, she knew this wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This was war. Zara's pulse pounded in her ears. She stared at Chike, his words echoing in her mind. I don't love her anymore. She should have felt victorious. Relieved, even. Instead, all she felt was fear. Linda had trusted her. And now, Zara was standing at the edge of a decision that could ruin everything. She took a shaky step back. Chike, this isn't fair. You're hurt, and you're looking for an escape. Chike's jaw tightened. Don't do that. Don't make this about revenge. Isn't it? She shot back. You just found out your wife betrayed you. You're angry. You're hurt. And now you want to be with me. But is that because of me, or because you want to hurt her back? Silence. For the first time, doubt flickered in Chike's eyes. He ran a hand over his face. Zara, I won't lie to you. I don't know what's next for me. But I know what I feel for you is real. Zara squeezed her eyes shut. This was too much. I need time, she whispered. Chike studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Take all the time you need. But don't lie to yourself, Zara. You feel it too. Then, without another word, he turned and walked away. Back in Lagos, Linda was waiting. Zara barely had time to drop her bags before Linda pulled her aside, her face tight with worry. Zara, tell me the truth, she said, gripping her sister's hands. Is there something going on between you and Chike? Zara's breath hitched. Why would you ask me that? Linda let out a shaky breath. Because he came back from Abuja different. Distant. And last night, he told me, she swallowed hard. He told me he wants a divorce. Zara's heart nearly stopped. Linda's grip tightened. Zara, please tell me you have nothing to do with this. Tears burned at the edges of Zara's eyes. Linda. But before she could answer, a deep voice cut through the room. I think it's time we all told the truth. Both sisters turned. Chike stood at the doorway, his expression unreadable. Linda's face drained of color. Chike. Zara's stomach dropped. This was it. Everything was about to come crashing down. The air in the living room felt suffocating. Chike stood by the doorway, his presence commanding. Linda turned to face him, her hands trembling. What do you mean, we all need to tell the truth? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Chike exhaled, his gaze flickering to Zara before locking onto his wife. Linda, I know about Michelle. Linda froze. A strangled sound escaped her lips. What? Chike took a step forward. I had a DNA test done. She isn't mine. Zara watched in stunned silence as Linda staggered back, her face paling. You did what? I had to know, Chike said coldly. And now I do. Linda's eyes filled with tears. Chike, please. I can explain. Explain. He let out a bitter laugh. What's there to explain, Linda? You had an affair. You got pregnant. And you let me believe she was mine. Linda collapsed onto the couch, covering her face. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. Chike scoffed. A mistake. You carried that mistake for 9 months and let me name her. You looked me in the eyes every single day and lied to me. Zara's heart pounded. She wanted to disappear, to escape the wreckage unfolding before her. But then Linda suddenly looked up at her. And something in her expression changed. A realization. A suspicion. Linda's gaze sharpened. Wait. Her voice was dangerously low. How long have you known? Zara stiffened. Linda. Linda shot up from the couch, her eyes darting between her sister and her husband. Oh my God. Her lips parted in horror. It's you, isn't it? Zara's stomach dropped. What? Linda turned to Chike, her voice rising. It's her, isn't it? That's why you're so sure about leaving me. That's why you suddenly don't care. Her voice cracked. You're in love with my sister. Silence. Chike didn't deny it. Linda let out a shaky breath, stepping away from them both. Her entire body trembled. How dare you, she whispered. How dare you do this to me? Zara felt like the ground beneath her was crumbling. Linda, please, I never meant for. Don't, Linda cut in, her voice sharp with betrayal. Don't you dare act innocent. I trusted you, Zara. Zara's throat tightened. I swear, I never planned for this to happen. Linda let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. You know what's funny? I was terrified you would be the one to tell Chike the truth. But you didn't need to, did you? Because you were too busy taking my place. Linda, stop, Chike said, his voice calm but firm. She turned on him. Oh, don't act like the victim, Chike. You wanted this. You waited for an excuse to leave me. Chike clenched his jaw. I waited for you to tell the truth. You never did. Linda's breath hitched, and for a moment, Zara saw something fragile in her sister's eyes, something breaking. Then, Linda turned to her sister, her expression cold. I hope he's worth it, Zara. Tears welled in Zara's eyes. Linda. But Linda had already turned away. Get out. Zara froze. What? Linda's voice was deadly quiet. I want you out of my house. I never want to see you again. Zara's vision blurred with tears. She turned to Chike, but he just exhaled, rubbing his forehead. He looked exhausted, torn. Linda scoffed. Oh, don't look to him. He'll move on, just like he moved on from me. Zara's heart shattered. This was it. The truth had come out. And now, everything was in ruins. Zara grabbed her bag with shaking hands, her body moving on autopilot. She wanted to say something, to beg for forgiveness. But the look on Linda's face told her it was too late. As she stepped out of the house, the weight of what had happened crashed down on her. She had lost her sister. She had lost her home. And worst of all, she wasn't even sure if she had won Chike. Because love built on betrayal always had a price. And Zara had just begun to pay it. Please share, subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories. Thank you.